Hello, and everybody, and welcome back to the J Talks Today's Relationships Show. All right, and I'm your host Jay. And last week we had a good topic about what does some ways that we can resolve and some issues in our relationships. And as we spoke on some of those things, we spoke on that it's not really about all the other material things that we do. Is about really examining yourself as to the selfishness and having it your way and all that, because really that's where most issues start, with self. We have a lot of drama and issues that we have within ourselves that we don't tend to resolve first before we start pointing the finger at someone else. Because remember, when there's one pointing at someone else, there's three pointing at you and one kind of pointing up. All right? All right, but today's subject that we have for you today is nothing else but some of the some of the things that we do in our relationships, the senseless things that we do in our relationships, the senseless things that we do in our relationships. All right. Sometimes people tend to want to say that senseless may refer to silly, ignorant. Um, I don't use the word, but some people use the word stupid. But we're not using. I said senseless. The senseless relationships, and in other words, the opposite of senseless is good sense. So, um, if we're not using good sense, then of course we must be doing something senseless, not having any sense or any meaning. Uh, okay? So, if we're talking that, uh, many times, like that means like lacking sense or meaningless, being unconscious. You're doing things with an unconscious mind, careless mind. And careless represents not having much care. So, as to what you're doing, what you're saying. Um, and so many times, we talk about how much we love a person, how much we care for a person, how much we're there for them. And then we turn around and we do senseless things, very senseless things. Um, and it's important to be careful about the things you say and the things you do, because remember, once it comes out of the mouth, you can't take it back. Now you could sit there and you could do all the apologizing you want to do, you care to do, you try to do. You could do all that apologizing, but that doesn't mean that that person um, is going to actually let you escape from certain things you may say or certain things you may do. Now, if they do, then that brings on the area where you can be grateful or thankful for them allowing you to get away with it or let it slide or be forgiven. Now, another thing about forgiveness is that when you forgive somebody or something, it's that uh, you don't take the situation and actually use it against them. Now, that doesn't mean you let them slide. All right, doesn't mean you let them slide and get off the hook, but you don't use it against them in a vengeful way. In other words, if somebody was to walk up to you and just hit you for no reason at all, they just hit you. Uh, Most of the time, what we want to do is, uh, if we want to fight back, uh, we want to be vengeful, we want to get them back. Or if we don't do it at that moment, if we see them on the street, broke down on the road, we'll say, well, they hit me before, and I don't like them, but I'm not going to help them. And knowing you have time, and you might see they might have a flat tire, you might have a tire repair kit. just so happen to know how to fix tires, but you use that against them as to not help them. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't that you let them go on the slide now because they're in need of help. Um, you don't take the occasion to use against them, but somebody comes and steals from you. You come in your house and they steal from you. Um, and they take things out of your house. You thought that they were a nice person, wouldn't do anything like that, but they do this, they wronged you in that kind of way. Now, you don't have to let them come back into your house. You hear what I'm saying? You don't have to let them come back into your house. You're making a solid decision based upon that's their consequence. They ruined the opportunity to be able to come back and forth in your house. You hear I said to come back and forth in your house. They ruined that. And because they ruined that, then they're dealing with some consequences that they will have to deal with. Now, you can forgive them, and it's good to forgive them. When you forgive them, not just, and though you're not letting them come back into your house, if you see them on the side of the road, or they run out of sugar or something like that, you can say, well, I'll help you with this, but that's all I'm gonna do. I'm being kind enough to help you. I'm being kind enough to do this or do that, but that's all I'm gonna do, and leave them alone with that, because they ruined the other part of the connection, but you still are there to help them. That's what forgiveness is all about. Okay? Now, remember when I said let them into your house? They wronged you. You don't have to continue to let them back into your house. I said senseless things that we do. And there are many times that people have wronged us on so many different things. There's so many different ways a person can wrong another person. And we're going to get on that trust thing in a little while. We're really going to talk about that in some great depths. But I'll say it briefly at the moment. I want to go elaborate into that trust thing. But somebody says they broke your trust. You say you broke. They broke your trust. You can't trust them anymore, and all that. Well, I mean, do you make a decision and call this person what you have deemed them to be in character? What do you do? Do you forgive coming back into your life, into your circle? Do you just let them continue to just operate and run in and out of your house? When I say house now, I'm talking about your life. I'm talking about your life right now. That's what I'm talking about. When you continue to let them run in and out of your life on a continuous basis, without any restrictions, without them dealing with any consequences, without them dealing with anything or showing any remorse of anything. Do you continue to do that? I believe the correct answer for that would be no. The appropriate answer would be no. Now, I'm not telling anybody what to do, but I believe that that's what most of society would answer to that would be no, based upon many statistics of how people resort to their answers on their views on things. So, no, we don't. But we tend to do that still, knowing what the appropriate answer probably would be to that would be a no, but we still tend to let that happen. And what we do is we tend to make up stories for a person, or we give them excuses. And when we do that, and if it happens on a reoccurring, often or on a regular basis, and now when I say regular, I really want to say no more than three. All right, three times. You know, we heard the three strikes you out. I'm not really trying to use that method, the three strikes you out. Um, I'd like to use um, my daughter, for instance, and if she's listening on this show to this show, but I'm sure she wouldn't mind. Feel like Bernie Mac for a minute, but anyway, we, what we my daughter, when she was growing up, I shared with her, I counseled with her as growing up as a child um, to her teenage and adolescent and teenage years while she was in high school and all that. And kids, including when I was a kid, and I'm sure those that are adults when you were a kid, when you began to get in junior high and high school, you begin to develop these boyfriends and girlfriends, and starting you start begin to increase in these areas of feeling like you're in love or somebody is in love with you, and the romance and all that. So you begin to develop those connections. Majority of people, not everybody, but the majority of people do begin to develop those connections. And then, so as my daughter was, I counseled with her um, for a long time, for a very, very long time. I didn't tell her what to do. Basically, I would counsel, and I would share with her, uh, and I'm not gonna call her name, but I won't bust out that bad. But I would say, daughter, um, you know, you deserve. You're a person that deserves respect. You deserve respect. Recognize those who don't respect you. I mean, many people will say they want respect. I think that's one of a good feeling to have when people give you respect. And there's many areas that pertain to a person giving you respect, and also vice versa to you giving someone else respect. And when respect is given, there's a lot of things that really comes out. You have the feelings, and here what I said, the aura, the feelings, or the intake of a person that they care, or the intake of a person that they might even have real true love for you, or the intake of a person that they really are there for you, or intake that I'm just saying that they are really into you, about you. Um, so when there's real, as close to being, even if authentic, I say authentic. I'm not talking about fake respect. And we know how we can tell fake respect. They give you respect one minute, next minute they disrespect you. When I say authentic, it is a regular practice. It is continuous. I mean, it's just a regular practice. All right, regular. That's what you get. Not one day they one way and the next day they another way. That is not authentic. And sometimes people lie to themselves. They want to say that's all that oh, they got respect for me, but no quicker than they said that, they come, the person they saying they got respect for them, then came back, called them out a name, and lied on them, or broke some truths, or deceived them, or some kind of way, you know portrayed some selfishness. So I said authentic respect. Because authentic respect doesn't need to have any excuses made up for the slips. Yeah, we can slip sometimes because we're not perfect. But if you can recognize a regular pattern, that's what becomes authentic. Because this person is making a genuine effort to be the person that you can depend on, that you see, witness, and experience. All right. So back to my daughter. I would tell her that many times, over and over and over. and dwelling that in their head. You're a person that deserves respect. You are a human being. I mean, everybody. As I said, everybody deserves respect, and we say it our own selves. You know, uh, yeah. Even uh, I think that was Aretha Franklin said, "Respect yourself." All right. If you don't have respect for yourself, how can somebody else have respect for you, or even give respect to you? So respect yourself. But and I was also say to her, in respect, what trying to break down, what to look for, and how people should act and ought to act towards her, or towards another person in respect. You know, when people calling you out of your name, that's disrespectful. When people lying on you, that's disrespectful. When people slander you, which is still pretty much sometimes uh, a lie, that's disrespectful. When people going out just spreading all kinds of bad news about you. Now even if it is true, we don't have to bad mouth people. It's bad enough that the person is dealing with the bad stuff in their life. Now you got everybody in the world all in their business, or all in your business, um, spreading bad talk and your bad news, your trials, your situations. And instead of helping, they want to go out there and just spread you all over the place, right? Respect is for the better good of someone. So, it does involve that. So, if you're not doing something for the better good or the betterment of someone else, then you kind of disrespecting them. Okay? If you can't encourage them, then then, then you must not. If you not can't encourage them, then you must be bringing their esteem down. I mean, it's either or. It's either or. But my daughter, I guess she heard it so much. She made me kind of proud that day. This one day, she had met this boyfriend, brought him to the house, um, and met him up with me, and you know, um, and I thought he was okay. Of course, many people put on their particular acts sometimes. You're going to meet the mom and dad, so you're going to be on your best behavior. I got that. And so when uh, uh, talking to him, I thought maybe he was okay. He was okay. Like many of us parents sometimes do when we meet our daughters or sons, boyfriends and girlfriends the first time. Um, And then there's some, yeah, that have a presentation, yeah, that might not be so well accepted, but most of the time, uh, people try to put on their best behavior on the first meeting because they want to be accepted. Even when you're coming on to somebody, hollering at them for a date or whatever, because people want to be accepted. They don't like being turned downs. Okay, nobody really wants to be turned down. Just want to sabotage you that bad that you know you're going to be turned down. So, um, uh, so my daughter came back a few days later, or it was actually a few weeks later, and she made this. I asked her, I said, "Well, how are things going with your boyfriend?" "Oh, I dumped him." I was like, "I thought you were into him, and kind of nice guy." She was like, "Daddy, he called me the B word." And that he disrespected me, and he said he was playing, but I took it as though he was serious because it came out of his mouth, and since it came out of his mouth, and that's what you always taught me, that that when it comes out of somebody's mouth, it's evidently what they were already thinking. And in my mind, I was saying, I didn't say it to him. I was like, yes, 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 yes. All right. I know that's a little comical, but really, really, The real truth about that is that it is true. When people say stuff, that's why we are biblically backed. We don't always talk Bible. I know the last few shows we kind of been more into the Bible aspects or religious background applications to the show. You know, we talk morally, we talk biblically, we talk just as good a sense as possible. We try to have a lot of fun. Here, mostly since I've been doing monologue, uh, which the cast is still here. I just want to let y'all know. Just on vacation, we'll all be back together here soon. But one of the things, you know, people say stuff. The thoughts have meditated in the mind, or a pattern of character of thoughts have meditated in the mind, and then out of the, as the Bible says, out of the heart the mouth speaketh. Out of the heart the mouth speaketh. A lot of time when people think of heart, they think of this heart that's pumping the blood throughout your body. That is not the heart that the Bible is talking about. It's talking about this right up in here, that's pumping the thoughts throughout your body, that controls the things that your body does, and the members of your body. That's talking about this heart up here. Because it says, you know, it's the greatest war that you're battling is the one that's in your heart, in your mind, in your mind. That's the greatest battle you're gonna fight, not the battle with the other people, within yourself. Mm, yeah. Flip Wilson had this thing where he had the devil on one side and the angel on the other side. That he used to say the devil made me do it and all that. All right. But the greatest war is the one within yourself. Now, you know, people do and it's senseless to disrespect somebody, and it's also senseless to allow yourself to be disrespected, because you know yourself, you don't like to be disrespected. No one likes to be disrespected. It's senseless to disrespect somebody, and it's senseless to allow yourself to be disrespected. Many times we want to make excuses for folk, and say, you know, well, you know, like here's another good one. Somebody uh, who had a bad night's rest, didn't sleep at all, and they get up and they're complaining, and they're aggravating. They're getting on everybody's nerve. They just going off on folk, innocent folk, or for no reason, just, you know, being aggravating. But yet they'll say, now watch this now, pay attention to what folks say. Many times we don't pay attention. God gave you discernment and intelligence and a sound mind. Well, a lot of times we just don't use it. But listen to what they say. They say stuff like, oh, you got to excuse me, I didn't get no much sleep last night. Now, isn't that a confession that they recognize everything that they're saying and how they're acting, and then they turn around and ask you to excuse them? In other words, let's reword what they're saying and bring some more reality to it. So Bible says, do not be deceived. What they're really saying is, I'm going to be this way, and I'm going to be aggravating, and you're going to have to take it and not say nothing and just let me get away with it. Think about it. They recognize everything that they're doing, everything that they're saying, how aggravating they're being, know they're getting on people's nerves, and probably know it because you even telling them you're getting on their nerves, but know it, and then they turn around and they say, you got to excuse me because I ain't get much sleep. All right. But when we turn around and we sometimes fall into the trap of helping them not recognize what, well, I don't say not recognize, but give them a license to be where they are, or keep doing what they're doing, and whatever. Um, you know that they are aggravating, and then you know now, and then you turn around and you might tell your neighbor or tell somebody else might be sitting right there. You know, you just excuse them. You know, they didn't get much sleep. That's how, you know, that's how they are when they don't get much sleep. Okay. Now, for that to be a foundation, for a person to be excused, it has to see, things have to have a foundation. Okay. In other words, if you take a hammer and hit a glass window, it'll break. That's a foundation. That's Murphy's law. That's just a foundation. That's a fact of the domino effect, of the fact of what happens from the actions thereof. You take a hammer, hit a window, you know it's going to break the glass. That's the results. That's what happens afterwards. Okay? You're baking a cake, and it's just started to rise. And any baker knows this. If you got a cake and it's just starting to rise and it's all still gooey and everything in the middle, and you open the doors of the oven and you're shaking the cake real. That's why you don't want to move a cake when it's baking. And you moving the pan around, and it's going to fall. That's the domino effect. That's Murphy's law. That's the fact. That's the results of. Okay? You hear what I'm saying? Okay. Now, it has to have a foundation. It has to have a substance that applies to everything. Everything that is, in other words, you hit a glass. All glass except one that's excluded, and it has to have some type of exclusion. So you could say all temperamental glass, but any safety glass or any special reinforced glass, just hitting it with a hammer won't break it, because they got bulletproof glass, and hitting that in with a hammer ain't gonna break it. All right, it might put a little tiny dent in it or something, because bullets won't even shatter it. Okay. But the foundation is like temperamental glass or thin glass or anything that's not reinforced glass. So the thing about this excuse about letting somebody sleep, sleeping and getting up and aggravating all that, watch this. Not everybody who has a bad night rest or gets or is sleep depraved or doesn't get the proper amount of sleep gets up being aggravating and getting on folks' nerves and talking to folk any kind of way and being cruel and all that. Not everybody is like, it's a lot of folk who don't fall in that trap, and they still will talk to you nice. They still will, their body might be aching, and they walk around yawning and wishing they get, but they don't go around treating folk bad. So you can't make a foundation to say that that's an excuse. Like I said, the Bible says, do not deceive yourself. And it's senseless if you don't pay attention when God is giving you the power and the unction and the intelligence to be able to discern. That's not saying, like I said the other day, there's a different, that's discernment is a type of judgment, but it's not the judgment that the Bible is talking about. Do not judge, for you shall be judged. In other words, that type of judgment is where you're judging for somebody's destiny. In other words, you're going to go to hell. That's the wrong kind of judgment. You don't know where they're going to go. It might be you going to hell and they going to heaven. You don't know that because the thief that hung on the cross with Jesus, a lot of people kept telling him he was going to go to hell. Jesus said he's going to go to heaven with him, see him in paradise. And a lot of them folk down there on the ground judging his destiny are some of the ones that were going to hell. Y'all understand that? Okay? You understand that? So, uh, when folks say stuff, you can respect your own self by paying attention to the things that they say. See the reality and tell yourself the truth. Because when you lie to yourself, you have done a senseless act. You have just done became senseless. You really have. You've done something senseless. It's senseless to lie to yourself about the realities and truths in life. Is it difficult to tell yourself the truth? Majority of the time, no, because we actually do tell ourselves the truth. We see we see what we see. For that instant, we tell ourselves the truth. Then we turn around and let like Flip Wilson say, the devil make me do it. That's on the other side. The angel done made known to you what the truth was, but the little devil is talking to you. And I think on that still shows the devil went over there and knocked the angel off the shoulder and took over. But that's what we do. We tend to let that distorted view come in and tell us something different. Then we act on it, and we do that senseless thing, begin to act out in our lives as something that is not true. So therefore, we don't deal with people in the area of where we need to. To talk more to the ladies on this one. You get hooked up with somebody, and you're not a person, well, a woman, a person that does not want to be hit. You've been raised up majority of your life. If you had any decent, concerning parents, will share with you, don't nobody touch my daughter. I'll kill somebody they touch my daughter. They shared it with you. Don't let nobody touch you. In other words, hit on you. All right? You know yourself, it don't feel good to be punched in the face. You know that. Nobody likes to be slapped. That's just as well as being punched, and it's not as you don't hurt as hard as being an actual punch, but it does have a little sting depending on how hard they slap you. But the sting is not as hurtful as, I'm talking about physically hurtful, as a actual fist balled up punch. But nevertheless, getting hit on, and nobody likes to get hit on. Except, I won't say nobody, because you do have some sadistic people who are into some things like that, pain and pleasure. Even they got their limits. They even got their limits as to how much pain they'll take. All right, keep punching them enough, they'll retaliate somewhere along the line. So still, there's still a limit to how much better. But majority of people, I mean, it's not a lot of those kind of people, but they are out there. But the majority of people, you ask them that question, is it pleasurable for you to get hit by anybody? Slap, hit? The answer would be no. And since the answer is no, that you don't want to be hit on, don't desire that, don't like it, don't really want to be around nobody, then the first time you get hit, listen to what I tell me. and you don't call it what it is. This person disrespected me by hitting me because they went against something I do not like. And they know they hit you. Well, here's what happened. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You hear what I said? They didn't mean to do that, but they did it. They didn't mean to do that, but they did it. I could go into a store and 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 sneak behind the cashier's back, open up the cash register, and grab $20 to $100, turn around, get caught, and with the money in my hand and say, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that." Y'all hearing what I'm laying down here? I didn't mean to do that. Or I could be speeding down the road. No, I'm speeding. Know the chances of a cop catching, tagging me with a laser or something. And this happened to me several times. All right, but I'm gonna tell you, I didn't fall into this trap that some people do, and say to an officer when he pulls you over and walks up to your car, they, and the officer said, "Why were you speeding?" "Oh, officer, I didn't mean to be speeding." You hear what I'm saying? You know you're speeding. You know it. See, choice is a free will thing, but it's also going to bring you blessings and curses. And because, see, a lot of folks, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I guess people may say I'm crucially hard or whatever. No, I'm crucially truthful. There's a difference between being truthful to yourself and being deceptive to yourself. The Bible says, "Do not deceive yourselves." And we got a lot of church folks. I know a lot of church folk watch this show. So if you one of those church folk who go to church and get word, and I'm sure you know what I'm saying with the Bible, and those that may not go to church, get into your Bible, you'll find it. It says it a couple of times. Do not deceive yourselves. Do not be deceived by others. It talks about deception. Do not be deceived by your thoughts. Don't by vain words. In other words, careless, senseless words. So if we do that, and we are deceived, then and we act on it, then we want to go back and ask for apology on it. All right. And I promise y'all, whenever I got a ticket, and I knew I was speeding. Now there might have been 2-3 times I wasn't paying attention. Now watch this. Watch this, or when I share this to you. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't really paying attention to my speed. I was all into the music. Might have been just singing and just getting on down with the music and stuff. And while I'm doing that, not paying attention, as I said, not paying attention to my foot hitting on the pedal more and the car speeding up, because I'm all into something more than what I should have been more focused on. Okay? And I became careless because the responsibility of me driving within the speed limits is on me. All right? My foot is going to react only to what my body and my mind tells it to do. And if I am being careless about paying attention, then I get myself into a situation and I'm guilty. I'm not excused. The cop ain't going to excuse me because I'm careless. He's still going to give me a ticket. I can tell him all day long. Well, cop, sir, sir, Mr. Cop, uh, I was all into the music. You see, that's some good music, man. I don't care, yeah, church music, hip hop, it don't make no difference. And I was all into it, man. You probably saw me just with my eyes closed, rolling my head, just all into it. Say, well, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. I saw you, but you still broke the speed limit, and you're gonna get a ticket. Next time, don't get into it so much. All right, y'all hear this analogy I'm painting to you? So sometimes people are careless, and what happens is that if uh, when they do that, when they do things out of carelessness, that means that they weren't sincere. Because I can't tell the cop I was sincere about paying attention to my driving speed if I wasn't. And he knows I wasn't. He knows I wasn't. So many times when somebody, okay, they slap you, they hit you, they call you out your name, they lie on you, they whatever that you call disrespect, and then you turn around and they say, well, not you, but they turn around and say to you. Sometimes it might be us saying to the other person, but turn around and say, well, I didn't mean it. My mind was somewhere else. That's carelessness. That immediately tells you that that person wasn't in as much care about what should have told you about you as they say they are. Because I couldn't tell the cop I really care about my driving speed and everything when I wasn't caring about my driving speed, because I wouldn't have gotten myself so caught up in music that I wouldn't pay attention to my driving speed. I mean, it don't take too much of a rocket scientist, folks. Some of the careless, senseless things that we do, senseless things that we do. All right? And most of the time, the senseless things we do is what self does to itself more than what self does to somebody else, or what somebody else does to another person. We're too busy most of the time focusing on what the senseless thing other people do. Another one, we got this one that with that folk be saying, well, if they're not measuring up to who you are, and let's say that uh, they they're not treating you right, they're not showing that you love, but you're showing them all this love. You are showing them all this care. Here are some words that we say senselessly. We say words such as, well, can't they see how much I love them? If they could just see how much I love them, then they ought to been doing right, or they should be doing me right, and treat me right. If they could just see how much I show how much I love them, I'm there for them. Now, I know that this person can be like this, and I know, but I know they can be because they got the potential. But I'm just praying that they can't that for that day. I know that they can be. Not you aren't saying what they're not or what they are. You're saying what they can be. The truth about life is, and the truth about people is that people can be whatever they want to be. They can be whatever they want to be. People can be whatever they want to be. And the truth of that one is, people will be whatever they will to be, because they are being what they want to be. The problem is, we just don't pay attention to them being what they want to be and what they are. We don't tell ourselves the truth about it. We really don't. We got this saying, and we say it quicker than we think about it. If it walks like a duck, quack like a duck, it must be a duck. But on TV, they say it's Aflac. All right. In other words, call it what it is. All right. Call it what it is and not what it's not. You're gonna make excuses uh, for that's not walking like a duck, but it's a swan, and you're gonna make excuses to try to keep trying to make it a duck. Call it what it is. Call a person what they are. That's what discernment is there for you to see the truth. Because if you tell people what they are, and more than that, call yourself what you are. Because we lie to ourselves about who we are and what we are, um, so much that we think we know us. We're not caring about ourselves sometimes. All right, call call it what it is. Call the person what they are. We really do these kind of things, and it's really something. It's amazing some of the things we do. Now I'm not talking like I'm not guilty or was guilty or didn't have that kind of practice. I did used to have this kind of practice uh, of negligence and I still do senseless things. All right, senseless things. I'm probably gonna do some senseless things till I die. But what I'm aiming for is to try to minimize the amount of senseless things that I do. You hear what I'm saying? Because see, I'm not gonna become perfect before I die. Nobody will become perfect before they die, but they can get as close to being as perfect as possible. You can get as close to being perfect as possible by creating that struggle to be as close as perfect, getting in wisdom, applying knowledge, not getting knowledge, because really majority of us have a lot of knowledge already. That's information, knowledge and information, experiences. We have a lot of that already that can actually guide us and take us to the right direction we need to go or should or ought to go. We already have that. We got some folk I'm gonna get back on church folk. We got some folk in church, been in church for 20 years and still was no better in the help for a better walk than when they came the first week that they started going to church. It's not how long you're involved in something, but it's how quick you begin to apply that into your life. Apply those truths, apply those experiences, apply that knowledge, apply all that information. Because I am very, very sincere on this one. Um, Nobody is stupid. Stupid means that you do not have the ability to get knowledge or to get information or knowledge you do not have the ability to get, that's stupid. No one's stupid unless and that's not, I mean, even then you're not stupid. You just have a mental incapacity, medical mental incapacity. Brain insufficient, brain disorder, stuff like that. You just mentally uh, lacking the capacity, mentally. All right. But other than that, you have every bit of ability. How you use it, that's up to you. How you use it is up to you. You can be labeled as ignorant as you want to be labeled, or well, many of us don't like to be labeled ignorant, but we do. We set ourselves in the path to be labeled ignorant. Um, the Bible in Proverbs says, How long will you simple ones stay in your simple ways? How long will you simple ones stay in your simple ways?" All right. So when I talk about the senseless things we do in our relationships, and this applies to all relationships, all types. Uh, even sexual, we do some senseless stuff, even in our sexual relationships. And y'all church folk, excuse me while I talk about a hard subject that maybe y'all don't want to hear, but it's worthwhile. Maybe it might help somebody. Sometimes we're selfish in our sexual relations with somebody. I know what the Bible says that we should be married, but the reality is there's a lot of people who are functioning sexually and having sexual relations, um, who are not married. Um, and so I'm saying that if this is where you are in your life and sexual relations is where you are, think on these things. Okay? Think on these things. I'm not getting away from what God is requiring and all that. I'm dealing with some reality. I told you we deal with reality, morality, and spirituality all at the same time, uh, and realistic views. So think on these things because we get senseless in our sexual relations with others. We want to get selfish. It's all about me. It's not about pleasing my partner. What can I mean, really. Um, it is senseless to try to perform and do, whether you have incapacities in certain areas. That's more toward the men. I understand that. Whether you have incapacities in certain areas, there are other things that can be done. Humbleness is one way, a beginning point um, uh, to bring about a fulfillment, uh, to actions or things that can be accessed, or ways that can be accessed to the fulfillment of your partner, your mate, your wife, your husband, uh, I can't, or your sexual partner, right? It's going, and I'm sure many women are going to agree with this, because down through the years, um, there have been many women left senselessly without satisfaction in their sexual relations. I said senselessly without satisfaction in their sexual relations. Okay? I probably got a little cheerleader team over there saying, "Yay, hey, you talk about it, Jay. Talk about it, Jay." All right. um, no, I'm not afraid to talk about any subject. If things need to be talked about, I don't know, things really need to be talked about, not only just in an open forum like this, but even in our church. Uh, and I do pray for our spiritual realm to not be afraid to take the stand to teach and talk about some things that seem to have had about false bad outlook on the religious spectrum. All right, um, but in that, I'm sincere about that. Men, listen up to this. There are many things women, um, if they now think about this. Here's where I'm gonna go with this. If they were with you at least once, and you had some type of sexual performance in incapacity or difficulty, um, and they're willing, listen to how I say this, and they're willing to continue to be with you after that in sexual relations, then that means they have recognized your incapacity, your difficulty. They have accepted it. But the thing about, though they have accepted it and they recognize it, does not mean that you are excluded or excused from trying to find other areas to bring about a fulfillment of pleasure and satisfaction in them. Because where you may be weak or whatever in a certain area does not mean that all hope is gone. There are alternatives. There are options. Many times, men tend to be senselessly pig-headed, stuck on themselves, too proud. Um, okay. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because you, when a woman continues to not get satisfied, but they're making sure that you are being satisfied, but you are carelessly, and that is disrespect, disrespecting them to not show the care that you want to try to find a way to satisfy them. You would be bringing in a senseless act because eventually, there's going to be a breakdown in your relationship, not just only sexual, but other areas in your relationship due to the recognition that this woman is seeing that you don't care enough to try to find a way to fulfill her and satisfy her in some kind of way if you are having sexual relations. Okay? That that applies to all aspects of the coming together. Um, I'm talking a man and a woman, but this, and I'm going to say it like this. Some folk may not like the way I say it, but I'm going to say it. And this also, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, but the reality is, this also does include the gay atmosphere, men and women, the gay atmosphere, because the application is still dealing with people entangling with other people. Now, the choice that they choose to route to go in their life, those are things spiritually that they would have to answer for, deal with. It's not anything, and I'm not going to be a judge or anything on that. I know what the Bible says, and that's all I'm gonna say on that fact. Many people know, but whatever a person chooses to do is just the same as somebody who's unwed. But I'm just saying, if you go into sexual relations, these are some things to think about in some acts. Senseless acts, okay? The senseless things that we do in our relationships. Um, it's senseless also. I mean, I've been mostly talking more like the couples, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife kind of thing. Um, and it's also in our relationships with our family. It's senseless uh, to turn on your family. It's senseless to, like I said, it all comes from respect. You don't have no respect for your family. And sometimes, majority of the time, it starts with no respect for yourself. You don't have no respect for your family. Families be cussing each other out and backstabbing each other. Unloyal to each other. It's senseless because one day you may need them. It's senseless. One day you may need them. Kids sometimes are senseless because they think they done got too grown, but your whole life is due and owed to your parents who got you through. You didn't have no job, you couldn't buy nothing. I mean, they got you through. They fed you, they clothed you, they provided for you books and everything. They got you through all the way through your life till you figured you got so grown you could do it. But now you want to disrespect them, act like they ain't a piece of nothing. They ain't got no worth. That they have no investment. They have a lot of investment in you. And I know that there are good parents and bad parents alike. But even with some bad parents, they still got even through their bad ways and bad applications, they still got you through when you couldn't take care of yourself. You didn't have no money, you couldn't get no money. Ain't no 5-year olds, 10-year olds working out there on jobs. All right? You wasn't out there on the street, homeless, sleeping on the sidewalk, on benches in the cold weather. They got you through. It's senseless. The senseless things we do in our relationship. Y'all hear what I'm saying? The senseless things we do in our relationships. So it's so many things that we fall into that are senseless, and we allow folk to do a lot of things to us, uh, but nobody can do more to you than you can do to yourself, because what you do to yourself is what you have allowed for other folk to continue to do. So you're doing that to yourself. They're not doing it to you because you choose not to call them what they are, call them who they are, make excuses for them, not choose and go the path that you know that you need to go and make the choices you know you need to make for your betterment. For your bet. I would hear some people say, I knew I needed to leave them, but it just hurt so much that if I leave them, I know I'm going to be hurting. Okay. All right. So if it's going to hurt you to leave them, when you're saying you need to leave them, depart from them, because nothing good is, you know for a fact nothing's good. It hadn't been good for years. You see that this person has not changing, not trying to change. They've been the same. The pattern of y'all's entanglement has been the same. Matter of fact, it's gotten worse. It gets worse, and but you're saying you're gonna be in not physical pain but emotional pain, uh, with trying to lead them, or if you lead them. Well, if you're going to be in emotional pain, all right, you just made a confession that while you're with them, you continually to stay in emotional pain. While you're with them, you continually to stay in emotional pain. So you're going to endure emotional pain one way or the other, but your emotional pain will not, and can't, I won't say, yeah, it will not come to at least a slowdown. Will not, may take to be gradual. Some folk can get over quick. Some folk takes a little gradual. But because you have left out of that depressing and aggravating situation, because you saw it not getting better, you saw it getting worse and worse and worse. Uh, the emotional pain. And listen how I say this. The emotional pain that you're looking at, facing, having to deal with from leaving them is better than the emotional pain that you're having to face. You still got to face them. Face while staying with them, knowing that it's not getting better, knowing that it most likely is not going to get better, and continue to prolong and keep you right there in that devastating state. But when you get away, that's why it says, for we might endure for a night, because for joy comes in the morning. We might endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. The night may be long, but eventually, because you're not repeating the actual events of when you are with that person, the actual events, you're just dealing with memories now, just only memories, and eventually the memories will die down, or come to a point where it has no effect, because those memories are only beating you up. Those memories are only taking you through. And as you move forward in your life, those memories will come to a settled point, that when they come to a settled point, that's when the morning comes, and that's when you begin to get joy. That's when you begin to get more happy, because as they die down, your joy, your happiness begins to creep back in. All right. So, there's a lot of senseless stuff we do in our relationships. Senseless stuff. I guess y'all thought I was going to. Y'all should know by now. Y'all thought I was going to say, "Oh, it's senseless to go out there and cheat." Yeah, that is senseless too. at Senseless too. But the majority of our problems is with self. It's with self more than the other person. And in almost everything we go through, it's really starts more with self than it with any other person. And we hope this show encourages you to go on. We hope this show takes you more and more closer to a life where you can be built up. Because Jay talks today's relationships. For yesterday has come and gone, and it's still a remembrance. And today is the day that we have to focus on. Today. Because tomorrow hasn't come. But we can plan how tomorrow can be. We look back over yesterday. We realize what's happening today. And tomorrow we move forward. This is Jay. And until then, next time, y'all love each other, love yourselves, and most of all, just do yourself a really, really big, big favor. And let you all hear this one track by the Guiding Light, Jeff Jerkins and the Guiding Light. It's one of their tracks called Available. All right? So until next time, may y'all continue to be blessed. All right? This is Jay Talks, today's talk show.
You gave me my hand to reach out to man. Oh yes, to show him your love and your perfect plan. You gave me my ears so I can hear your voice so clear. I can hear the cries of sinners, but can I wipe away their tears? You gave me my voice to speak your holy word, to sing out of your praises to those who ever heard. But with my eyes I see the need for more availability. I can see the hearts that have been broken, so many people to be free. Lord, I'm available to you. My will I give to you. I'll do what you say. Do use me, Lord, to show someone the way. And oh, my storage is empty, and I am available to you. Now I'm giving back to you want to be more available to you. Oh, Lord, I'm available to you. My will I'm gonna give to you. I'll do just what you say. Do use me, Lord, to show someone the way and enable me to say, oh, my storage is empty, oh, and I am available. My storage is empty, and I am available to you, Lord. I'm available to you. Oh, somebody help me say, here I am. Oh, Lord, Lord, I'm available. I'm gonna need you to feel me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Lord, use me. Here I am. But not my will, but your will be done. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to feel me. Every day I need you to feel me. Do you know why? Because I'm now available. Somebody say available. Available. Yeah, available. I'm tired of doing things on my own, and I don't know where to go. And it's you, Lord, who was there for me. It was not me for myself, but it was you for me. Use me like you used David. Use me like you used Moses. Use me like you used Paul. I'm available. Oh, my storage is empty, and I am available. Chastise me, revive me, mold